Welcome to the Modern Contractor Podcast. I'm with my Pella team, or part of the Pella team we work with for our window and door division. And we have a combined 42 and a half years of experience within the window and door industry. And I thought talking to these individuals today and asking some questions might help contractors come up with new ideas or what successful contractors are doing, and also some of the things you shouldn't be doing that will help you scale your business. I'll let them introduce themselves. It's Brandon, Mitchell, and Morgan, and we'll let Brandon start.
Well, Brian, thank you for having us today. I've been with Pella for a little over 29 years now. What started out as a job turned into a career that I've absolutely loved, working primarily with architects and builders and contractors just like you to help people build and refurbish their beautiful homes.
Yeah, and I'm Mitchell. I'm the trade and commercial sales manager here at Pella of Central Iowa. 10 years of experience with Pella. Started out in our corporate office and spent time as a trade sales rep in the southeastern United States. Came back to Pella in various leadership roles, and I've been the trade and commercial sales manager here now for going on 3 years. So it's great to get to partner with our sales team. We have a team of 10 that call on builders, contractors, architects, remodelers, and it's a fun role to solidify partnerships like the ones that we have with you.
Yep, and I'm Morgan Olivares. I've been with Pella for 3.5 years now, and I run the Certified Contractor program, so partnering with accounts and more specifically remodelers.
Great. Well, I wrote down some questions, or typed up some questions today, and thought it'd make it a little bit easier on myself. I got a question where I'm going to open it up to everybody, but then I'm kind of going to ask specific questions of each of you based on your experience, hopefully, and we'll go from there. But let's start with Brandon. What, in your mind, separates a good contractor from a great one today?
Great question. I think primarily, in my opinion, it boils down to one kind of key thing, and that is being customer-centric in everything that you do. So I think sometimes, good contractors, they're always looking for ways to improve, which aligns quite well with Pella's culture, continuous improvement, and the Kaizen processes that we've always undertaken as a company. But if you're making changes solely for the benefit of your company and not your customer or your end user, I think that's not sustainable, number one. But I also think that the reason why we all do what we do is for the customer at the end of the day, right? So I think staying focused on making changes or business strategies that focus solely on satisfying the needs, even the needs that maybe our customers don't necessarily know they have. So that means being educated, and that means coming to the table and making sure that we are guiding as a builder. I think that's very, very important as well. As a contractor, it's very important. And sometimes you lose track of that because you're so tied up with your business operations and trying to make those better that sometimes you forget about your customer at the end. So staying focused on the customer, that's what I see great contractors do time and time again.
Okay. I'm going to tell a quick story. I used to go to happy hour at a particular establishment on Friday afternoon. And I finally quit going. There's this group of contractors, there's about 30 of them that would be sitting in this long table. And the whole time, all they did was complain about their customers. And the whole time I was sitting there, I just wanted to sit down at the table because I heard what they were talking about. And they were all kind of me problems. They were their problems. They weren't their customers' problems, but they like to transplant that onto a customer. So I stopped going there because it was driving me crazy. But that's what I find so many times in the market is it's always the customer's fault. They can't look inward and find out what in your process, what in your procedure created that. And so Mitchell, the question was, what's something struggling contractors blame? So I already took one, sorry, I took customer.
Yeah.
But what do they blame that's really not the actual issue?
Well, what happens is they don't look inward, and they tend to blame factors that they have little to no control over, whether that be labor shortages or pricing or just the overall economic environment. It's very easy to place blame on some of these other factors. And where we see good contractors grow to great is when they start looking at like a labor shortage example and say, okay, if I'm not attracting the right talent, what can we do to change our process to get the right talent in the door? Whether that be dedicating an HR team to that process or just being intentional about the way that we're interacting with prospective candidates that we're looking to bring into the business. Same with I can't compete price-wise, right? Everyone else is so much cheaper than me, and it's an impossible position to be put in. Well, what are we doing to look at our value prop? What are we doing to work intentionally with our sales team to say, are we building value in our product, our processes, our company, to have an educated conversation with our customers to build the value and say, hey, we don't care about the cheap price. We want someone that's going to partner with us and make sure that this project goes off without a hitch. And we see a lot of great success with our contractor partners that are able to do those things.
Perfect. I think the pricing one, you talked about value. I mean, you have to have something, or you can just race to the bottom. And so many people race to the bottom, and then we hear that they're out of business in 6 months. You can't race to the bottom, and that's what I've tried really hard to build. Is that we're always trying to figure out. I mean, every day I'm trying to figure out another way we can separate ourselves in the customer's eyes. It's something that's in my head every single day. So as we grow the coaching business, that's one thing I'm really talking to people about, is the fact that you have to be different. Customer experience is more important than leads. I truly believe that from long-term success. So, Morgan, I'm going to get you one now. How does the mindset of top contractors differ from the average ones?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what really differentiates a great contractor from somebody who's really working on growing their business is having so many big ideas and following through with them. I mean, to Mitchell's point, you have a team in place for a reason. So when you have these big ideas and finding a way to hit the ground running with them, I think that really differentiates somebody that's great out in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And then somebody who's up and coming. I mean, they have a lot of great ideas, but having the help and the staff to support and execute those plans goes a long ways.
And I think that's the biggest thing in contracting. We have all these companies that are sitting under 4 million, 3 million in revenue. They're all sitting there and they sit there for years. And by the way, full disclosure, I sat there for a decade, and you know that. About even revenue, just boom, 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 boom for a decade. And why was that? That was mainly because I couldn't let go. And I didn't have the big enough team. And back then I had, 6 total employees. Now I have 42, but it was taking that next step, and it was a lot of risk. I mean, because I had to hire people before I necessarily had the revenue. But then it all kind of started happening. So that's a very, very good answer. And then, okay, I'm going to get all of your perspective on this one. How important is, we already talked about this. Let's just hit it a little bit harder, because I really believe this is the key to grow a home service business. How important is customer experience to long-term success?
I don't think you can put too high of an importance level on it. I mean, everybody, Mitchell talked about price, and that everybody wants, I think, to some extent, the best price, but I think definitively everybody wants the best value, and the value starts with how they're guided. I mentioned that earlier, right? It's not coming in and just trying to sell something to them. It's about trying to understand their needs and giving them a really great experience by giving them what they want, or guiding them to what they actually want and need.
Yeah, we like to talk about a word to describe the experience as marquee. How are we creating a marquee customer experience? And a lot of times if that's not something that we're seeing customers are being created, it takes a great leader to sit down and walk through the process from the moment we walk through the door to the moment we are completely finished with the project. And each part of that project will have these different moments in time, these inflection points where we can have a good customer experience, but are we making it marquee? Is this an absolutely insanely excellent experience for the customer? And when we see great contractors take a hard look at that experience from start to finish and make investments into each of those moments in time, we see that really pay off. And it's so great for reviews and word of mouth, because when folks are looking to take the next step in their home remodel project and work with contractors, the word of mouth is so powerful, especially in a market like this one. And when you create that marquee customer experience, it's hard not to give a recommendation to that great contractor that's able to provide it.
Yeah, and I think Brandon and Mitchell said it perfectly. But the word that comes to mind for me for customer experience is it is very important. At the end of the day, that's what differentiates a good, great, or even a bad experience. And to Mitchell's point, word of mouth goes a long way. So making sure we're at the top end, it really starts with that customer experience that they're getting from the whole entire team that's employed with you.
Thank you. And that's, and you'll see throughout, the Modern Contractor Podcast and any other videos, you're going to see a lot of focus specifically on the customer experience, because that is the future. It's not going to be like it used to be 20 years ago where everybody was kind of doing the same thing. It's going to be the companies who separate from the pack, because there are 50%, 60% of contractors aren't going to change. They just do it their way. But I think the ones that change and focus on, making the customer's experience marquee, okay, that's a good word, I'll use that now from now on maybe, is going to be the focus of successful companies in the future. So Morgan, I got another one for you. What are the top contractors doing today that other people will copy and other contractors will copy in 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that come top of mind when it comes to that, but the biggest one being artificial intelligence. AI is up and coming, so making sure that you're on the road with that, hitting the ground running, and staying top of mind for those contractors, making sure that you're top of the search engine when customers are looking for a remodeler locally. Another thing would be the co-branding. I mean, and you guys do a phenomenal job with it, but those marketing videos that you're putting out to the customers, those do not go unnoticed. It gets people excited, it gets people riled up, and those are really the top 2 things that I'm seeing that really differentiates people out in the marketplace.
Mitchell, I'm going to give you this one.
Okay.
You probably over the 10-year period have had a lot of contractors who just sit at that level, and nothing happens. They just stay there. Maybe they're happy to be there. That's fine. That's probably not who we're talking about. But you also talk to contractors who want to take that next step. And what is it? What's holding them back usually? I mean, and then what would you recommend as advice to take that next step?
Sure. I mean, a lot of times it boils down to leadership. Who are the people that you're tasking with making the decisions within the organizations? We see a lot of good contractors work in their business, but we see a lot of great contractors work on their business. And when we have leaders across these different trade customers that we work with, we see them make the investments into their business. And when you're able to make the investment, work on the business and really partner up with your team in that process and get their feedback and listen, that's how you grow. And it's been really fun to see you and your team take that step. And for contractors that have built their business from the ground up, it can be hard to relinquish some of that control. And the second you get that great team in place and you're able to work on your business and trust the team to make decisions and go after the business on your behalf and you have time to work on the business, that's how you really start to scale and get to the level that you're trying to go for.
Absolutely. And that's, excuse me, and that's what I experienced over the last 5 years. And it just keeps getting better and better and better now. So, and that's what we're trying to help other contractors do. But it's hard. I have a customer, a client that it's husband, wife, and they're kind of doing everything. And they're really scared to hire somebody. Well, we don't know what it's a big step for them. They're actually scared financially. Well, what if I don't have enough work? Well, you can't think of it that way. And I always tell people to scale your business, you have to look at hiring people as an investment. You might not break even in the first month, but you have to look at it as a long-term investment. And the owner shouldn't be doing everything, but too many people do. Well, I want to thank you, all 3 of you. I told you it wouldn't be too long. I wanted to thank all 3 of you for being on. I appreciate the partnership. I appreciate working with Pella and the opportunity. The choices, I'm just going to say this. One reason that we've chosen at Burridge Home Solutions to work with Pella is the variety of options that we can go into a home. Too many people in the window industry take in a white vinyl double hung, and that window's the best for their neighbor, for their mom and dad, for everybody in the world. That's the best window you could ever put in. And we appreciate the ability to really find what's best for the customer. And that goes back to all the customer experience we're talking about. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you for watching. And stay tuned for the next episode. And thanks for coming.